Alright, well this is Aaron Squire coming to you guys. Episode 57, and I forgot what I called it. It's something about love. I think I called it sad.
Singles
Awareness Day, Killipede. So it's Sad Killipede. That's what we're calling this episode. Tonight on Deck Me with the Squire, we're going to talk about some news. I've got Goldensaucerguy on here with me again, and he may or may not be handling Deck Me with the Squire next month, while it is that we're in the process of moving. We're also going to talk about some of the upcoming tournaments, some of the terms of service changes, sportsmanship, how to be pro, and we're going to do a deck doctor with the Killipede deck built by Canada. Are you getting me okay over there? So
all right.
let's go on to the news. Let's segue to the news. Perfect segue to the news here. Not Hextech bring it on. We want to talk about the news. Okay, so the arena test servers are back. I haven't actually logged back onto these. However, I did update my Hex client for the arena test for the test client, so you didn't have to download a new client in case you were wondering. It looks like there's going to be a tournament tomorrow at 12 o'clock Pacific time, which is going to overlap the tournament that 5 Shards is doing. So there actually may not be as many people stress testing that one. So it may actually fire off. So, hey, what's going on, MTT Gamer? MTT Gamer. I'll call him that. So, so you've been playing the PvE content, right, Goldensaucerguy? So, how's that?
I couldn't play it the first weekend, but I played it this weekend, and I was very happy they brought it back. And yeah,
Me too.
I've been enjoying it. It was a little rough the first couple hours they reopened it. There was matches that weren't even starting, and I would be in the middle of a boss, and they show them on their turn, on their draw step or whatever, and it would just sit there forever. So there were some issues originally, but it seems like it's cleared up. Everything's moving swiftly, and I'm back to my losing ways.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like I used to work in the movie theater, and I was actually working during when episode 1 was being released, and there were people, of course, camping out to go and see that movie. So you had all these people like rushing to get in to play or to basically watch the movie, right? Well, everyone else, the general public, was kind of standoffish, and so they're like, I'm not going to see it right away, I'll just go later. So I told my friend, I was like, hey, they still have tickets. So he didn't even camp out, and he saw the 12:01 showing of episode 1, and I think that's what's going on here. It's like everyone's excited about PvE, and so like on the first day they're like, PvE, and then like I played on Saturday last time. It was 2 days into it. It's like the last day, and it was perfectly fine for me until the last 2 hours, then it cut out, which is probably too many people logging in. So I think that's what's going on.
It was enjoyable, though. There was some, they mentioned they had to pull everybody's equipment off, and I haven't really played with it since then. I've mostly been pretty focused on just going through the arena mode.
Right.
I've been enjoying it because I get to use all these weird fringe decks that are goofy, and I can jump in and have something to play against. And it's fun. It's a good time. I'm really happy that it's in there. I can't wait till it hits the full-on servers there.
Yeah, I must say, I've got a full arena run posted on my YouTube right now, and after finishing it once with like my tier 1-ish deck that I'm trying to win tournaments with, I say it's most of those decks should be able to handle it, but the lower end decks it's going to be much more of like a fair battle maybe, or a tougher battle. Did you try any of the PvE cards yet? Because supposedly those are working now. You can slot those in?
No, I haven't played them yet. I was working on some decks with them though, so they're in my lineup of things to be doing, which after the show I probably will play with equipment and PvE cards. But overall, I mean, they seem to think that things are working well right now, so I'd imagine a lot of this stuff is going well. I hate logging in there because I look at my gold and platinum, I'm like, I'm rich.
Yeah. So moving on, we're going to talk about the terms of service real quick. Actually, we've got that news item, and then of course we've got the building the arena. Really good read on the arena and how it is that they go through. So I suggest you guys definitely read through this and take a look at it. And they mentioned the 5 Shards Ruby Cup tournament, which is tomorrow, and how that's basically free, and then there's that tournament. But what I really want to talk about is the terms of service. Just real quick, they updated the terms of service. This is on a Reddit thread. I picked this up, and it talks about things like if you're streaming Hex, they kind of don't want you streaming other competing card games. If you are recording Hex, they don't want you selling your recordings. They want all of your digital items outside of games. They kind of want you to stop using your shops and different things. So we saw some people that were actually closing up their single shop on Reddit this last week. And then what was the other one? I feel like there's one more thing I'm missing. Do you remember? I told you before we started. I don't remember what it was. But basically, oh, and the multiple accounts. They said that they don't want people using multiple accounts. So those are all things in the terms of service. Now, I did clarify, because I do monetize my YouTube content. I did clarify with them to see if if they wanted me to stop putting commercials on my stuff, and they said no, that's fine. That's not actually selling the video, so you're fine there. I feel like a lot of this stuff is probably just due to the lawsuit, where they have to kind of put it in place. I mean, it's you know, to your advantage to, you know, stop doing it and to listen to this stuff, but at the same time, it feels like, you know, they still have to actually come after you, and then they'll point back to the terms of service and say, see, we put in the terms of service, you agreed not to do this, why'd you do this? And then they can actually litigate you, which means they typically are just going to shut down your site.
Right.
So I don't know. How do you feel about all this stuff going on?
I don't know. It does have the smell of the lawsuit hanging over them, as far as them trying to make it so they can be in a better position going into this case, because they're going to have a lot going on here over the next few months. And I think also it puts them in a position too where they can say, yes, we are fighting against this, and we have banned, we have removed X players who repeatedly violated our terms of service. So, and
that's important though.
Yeah, and that's something. If they have those people,
has no teeth if they don't do that.
Right. So if they pick out 3, 5, 12, 20 people, whatever the number is, I don't know if it necessarily matters, and say that, yeah, we have banned and do enforce this actively as our policy, so you can no longer use this against us, saying that that our players stream both this game and this other game that are similar to it or not similar to it. Like let's pick Blizzard's
Hearthstone. Yeah, you could say Hearthstone. Like that's the general. Like most of the time, people are going to stream Hearthstone in between matches, because those matches are like, you don't really care too much about them, so you can like leave the match real easily. So I don't think it'll be an issue at all once we're able to play PvE in between our matches, because no one's going to want to leave the client. At least I won't. I don't know if any other people will, but right now they say if it's competing games. So I guess if it was something else, like some sort of platformer or something, I guess they would be okay with that if you have to do that during your downtime. Or you could always pull up somebody else's stream that actually has stuff going on, and you could like broadcast that. I really wouldn't mind it. Or you could pull up, if you have a YouTube channel of your own videos, you could do that of Hex content, which I could do that as well. Or somebody else's YouTube, like Aaron Squire's.
Yeah. Right, so those people out there playing Cold Step Saga, you better stop. No more streaming that game.
Oh, yeah.
There's a name people probably won't. There's a great Xbox 360, I think. Game is it? Cold Step Saga. It's such a fun game.
Yeah, you're right. MTT Gamer. Yeah, there was a website that was using some sort of Dwala currency. I mean, and this also gets into them making sure that they're covering their bases with money laundering and other stuff, and they also want to make sure that with digital objects, they want to make sure that you know that like they're not going to take them away, but if they had to, if you force their hand, that stuff, you're leasing it from them, and so you never actually owned those digital objects, because if you did own it, then it could be taxed, and you don't want that. You don't want to get taxed on your digital Hex cards, do you? No. Right,
and this is another scenario too, and you mentioned laundering, which I did a little bit of work in a few years ago, and they're looking for money to really only be going in one way in this game. They don't want the path to go two different ways.
Oh yeah.
And of course, selling your accounts on eBay and having multiple accounts you put cards on and selling those accounts is certainly something that's going to happen, but they want to make sure that in their terms of service, they have something saying, this is not legal and we can fight against this and as our terms of service. And that's important, because money laundering is certainly something that is an issue.
Yeah, for sure. Especially in the digital world with all the Bitcoin and all this other stuff. Digital currencies I never believed in. Moving on to the tournaments that are upcoming. Just a reminder, it's a friendly reminder from your friendly Aaron Squire. Saturday, February 28th is going to be the Hextech Open Brigadon. It only costs 5 platinum to enter. The prizes pool is never going to go down from what it is, but it could get better if they get more people. So I encourage you all to get out and play the most competitive deck you can, and don't be afraid of the the Gore Feast in the deck, or just be at least ready for it. Either play it or play something is that you think is going to be competitive, but do be ready for that, because that does seem to be like the #1 deck right now, or at least one of the most popular ones.
Right. Gore Feast is just such a good card. I'll be happy to see someone else come up with something that's as strong as it.
We'll be happy in a year. In a year and a half from now, we won't even remember Gore Feast.
Well, even then, one more set comes out. Another set could easily break the meta hard, like
True.
Just bust it wide open. So
500 platinum, 500 platinum, 500 platinum, $5. So moving on, we've also got the 5 Shards Ruby Cup, and I know that tomorrow is, depending on how you look at it, either Valentine's Day for people with Valentines or Single Awareness Day for people that don't have Valentines. By the way, don't go to the mall. I made that mistake one year, and that was not a good idea. It was just couples everywhere, and there was single me walking around. It was pretty bad. So don't do that to yourself. Find some friends to hang out with or something if you don't have a girlfriend,
right.
or maybe go look for one. I don't know. Maybe that's what that day is for.
Yeah.
Or come and play Hex.
Yeah, there you go. Recommendation for the single people is go find. There's lots of places out there that host singles. Most places like bars and such do that, but it doesn't have to be an alone holiday. My wife and I actually don't even celebrate it. We just could care less.
Right. I'll be celebrating it in the morning by getting my wife some flowers and some donuts for the kids. So yeah, do come out to this tournament. It is free. It's sponsored by the Rise of the Dead Prince book, so do check that out as well. And yeah, not too much else to say about that. Confirmation starts at 8 a.m., so do have your deck list in before then, and they have that wonderful interface for you to submit it with, so it shouldn't be too hard to get a handle on that. On that note, on the tournament note, this morning I was practicing for the tournament, and I just want to talk about sportsmanship for a couple of minutes. So basically, I was talking with a fan, some guy that one of my fans that really enjoys the show, but he kind of was talking down about some other people in the 5 Shards community of community providers, and I was like, I think that I do respect these people. I think that they're pretty good people, so on top of that, like, he was saying some other stuff that was okay. I mean, but it was kind of not exactly on the level. So let's just be professional. And when I tell people to be pro or get out there and be professional, it just simply means do things at a higher level. Like, there are plenty of people that are good at different sports and different games and stuff, and they get up in people's faces and they start throwing obscenities around and doing all kinds of stuff to try to throw them off their game or whatever they're trying to do, because that's part of the game. I don't see a reason for that personally. I guess you're trying to rattle someone's cage and all that stuff, but you can do that without throwing obscenities or doing other things like that. So let's be professional. If you really want to be a good player, be professional. That's all I have to say about that. Goldensaucerguy, do you disagree with that? Do you?
Not in the slightest. Some of the work I do on the side is being a public relations director for a nonprofit that runs conventions in the Pittsburgh area, and a lot of times we have the conversation with people like they're on our staff, or they don't necessarily even pay people; they're just volunteers. Like, you have to understand, like, you represent this group, and in this case, you represent the community of Hex, and being just good to each other and a positive community is pretty important. So, trash talking has its place, and you need to know when it's what you're saying is damaging to the community or is just another playful trash talking. And
right.
There is sometimes it's okay, but you need to have that level of professionalism for some of the things you do, and you have to understand that there are people on the other side of this game that you are playing. So just be kind, rewind, whatever.
Be kind, please rewind. No one's gonna know what that means because they don't have VHS tapes now, or Betamax tapes, right? Yeah, just be aware of your actions,
Yeah, be good to each other.
So let's move on to the decks. So right now, this is the deck I've kind of settled on for tomorrow. I've been playing a lot of Ruby Wild. Everybody knows that, the last couple of tournaments, and I really love that deck, but I feel like I owe you, the community, something more, something a little bit different. So we're going to play this. This is basically a draw-go kind of control deck, where we're going to basically sit on our opponent's turn and do almost nothing for most of the game, and then come through with a single threat like a Storm Colossus, a Vampire King, Zombie Plague. We'll just throw those on the table, Reese the Crust Crawler, and we'll have counter magic to back them up. You basically can't play these cards unless you have your counter magic backups, or if you do, if you are playing them without that backup, you need to kind of like, it's a real gamble. I usually like to have at least one, so usually you're not playing Vampire King until you have at least 6 resources in play. This means you have to have a lot of resources in the deck. You need to be dropping resources every turn. You also draw a decent amount of cards in this deck as well, because you are running Wyatt the Sapper to help you draw more cards. You got your Zodiac Divination. You even have like Cog Temple's Thirst, which can draw you a card as well. Just a lot of things where it is that you can draw cards. I went ahead and I was playing 25 shards, and I was like, you know what, I think I can go down to 24 and play Immortal Tears, which will help fix me as well, because we do have a lot of double thresholds in this deck. The deck's been running pretty well, and I've just been like figuring out where the one-ofs need to be. Probably the hardest decision today was taking Inquisition down to 1 from 2. The big thing I found with Inquisition was that typically I wanted to play Sapphire on my turn 1, and if I did that, then there was no chance for a turn 2 Inquisition. But it's okay usually to even play a turn 3 Inquisition. It's not that bad. A lot of times I want to represent having Verdict of the Ancient Kings, and when I'm talking about representing a certain card in your hand, it just simply means I have these resources up. You know that I'm playing with counters, and so you have to like play around the chance that I have those counters, or draw them out by playing things first. So if I'm going first and I play a Sapphire Shard, and then you go and you drop like Diamond and you're playing Blood Diamond, then I play another Sapphire or a Blood Shard, I'm now representing Verdict of the Ancient Kings in my hand. You don't know if it's there or not because you haven't dropped your and you don't really even have access to look at my hand. So instead, what you have to do is you have to really decide if you can drop Soul Marble or not on your turn 2, with me having that turn 1. Very, very key portion of the game, because Soul Marble is probably one of the biggest problems for this deck, is what I found. I have the hardest time dealing with that one card in particular. So there you go. That's pretty much the deck. I changed the reserves up just a little bit there. Anything you want to talk about with this, or anything you're seeing problems with, like on the you know, Goldensaucerguy? I know I got a lot of kids yelling and screaming in the background. Are you even still there?
Fine. You know what? Being a dad is a cool thing, so I am jealous in that respect. So I let him scream, but I like the deck. I like there's a couple things I like about it. I like actually the ones you brought down to 1 card. Relentless Corruption is a cool card to have at 1 of, because it's not something you're drawing an excessive amount of, and it could be a late game winner. Zombie Plague is something a lot of people try to play 4 ofs, and when I catch them with 3 or 4 ofs, I feel like a lot of times it's a dead card for them, because I am moving the deck forward and they're getting it out and hoping that they get the cards, like they're gambling on it. So I'm happy to see a 1 of in that case. Inquisition going from 2 to 1. I can understand your reasoning there. Inquisition is a tough card to play. I think 1's a good one. You might get it late game even, and they're sitting on that 1 card, and you can nuke some bomb they have that's sitting in their hand. The Storm Colossus is an interesting choice. I was wondering what I mean, it is a big bomb at a 7 cost with 3 blue. I mean, has your experience been good with that?
It's been pretty good. It's one of those cards like versus Blood Diamond control. It's like, what are you gonna do? I have a Storm Colossus. You have to sweep. Right. It's like there are 4 cards in your deck that can deal with it, and that's it. Like if they have Soul Marble in play, and if they have a Vampire King or maybe 2 Vampire Kings, like yes, they could block it. But I mean that's asking for a lot of things to line up. Yeah, it's one of those cards. It's very hard to deal with, and it's a big body that I can block with for a very long time if I have to.
Right. Right. Yeah, okay. I like your Dishonorable Death being 1 of. I thought some of the things that people did poorly was putting 4 of those in their decks. Zodiac Divination, 1 of. I love Zodiac Divination. I love getting that card. If I run something similar to yours, I'll probably put it to 2, so maybe I don't know what I would take out, but I love Zodiac Divination quite a bit. I think it's a great card.
Yeah, this card is going to be a mainstay in any control deck, I think, at least as a 1 of, maybe a 2 of, until we get something that's like draw X cards. But this is it, like, or if there's something that's like quick action speed, draw 3 or 4 cards, maybe that would replace it.
If you're especially in a deck like this one, you know you're gonna have good resources. If you're sitting at 6 or 7 resources and you pop that, let's say 6 resources, you're pulling 3 cards in your hand with a -1 cost each. Chances are you might have pulled something that had a 2 cost originally, or in this case, like for instance, Inquisition would go down to 1, Thirst would go down to 1, Peak would go down to 1, Verdict would go down to 1. I mean, you have so many cards that are really good coming off of Zodiac Divination that are still playable, even with this limited resources. And of course, why would anybody be mad about having a Vampire King cost 3?
So going to the chat, MTT Gamer is asking, how does this do against Gorestorm? Which is of course the question on everybody's mind whenever you're building a deck at this point in the series of trying to play competitive Hex with Constructed. I don't know, to be honest. I think that it'll be okay. I'm not sure if I have the better game plan or they do. The big thing when you're playing against Gorestorm or Gore Feast or whatever you want to call it is turn 4. Turn 4 is like the biggest turn. If they actually drop their shard and then they Gore Feast, then you're in trouble. Now, lately, what Gore Feast, Gorestorm has been doing is they're playing, I forget what his name is, basically the 3/2 that allows you to look at your opponent's hand. I don't really care too much about it. And here's the reason why. If they have Gore Feast, now they see that I have Verdict or my counter magic in hand, and they have to say to themselves, well, now I can't Gore Feast. And now that it stalls the game out. And it may allow me to extinction or murder or do something else in the meantime. That's kind of a big deal in that matchup. Games 2 and 3, of course, get better for us, because we side out a lot of things. Like we keep 1 Zombie Plague is fine. We get rid of Storm Colossus. We actually go up to 4 Vampire King. We get rid of Relentless Corruption. We keep Reese. Inquisition's fine. Murder stays. Dishonorable Death comes out because it's just too slow. We actually get 4 Crackling Rot. We get another Murder, and I think we also play Sorrow. Is a pretty good one to side in, just as a 1 of. Sorrow, I'm kind of in between. That's why I've only done a 1 of right now with it, because it basically only handles 1 card very effectively, which is the Falconeer. But that's kind of an important card to be able to handle. It's a 1-for-1. They play their Falconeer, I kill everything with Sorrow. Even if they're drawing cards, they're still drawing about a third of those cards is shards, which should be good for me. Hopefully I can just keep removing stuff. I'm also drawing cards, so hopefully we're at a good spot where I can just stabilize board state. If I get a Vampire King in play and they draw lots of cards, it's actually almost better for me, because now I can attack in and get vampires.
Right. Okay.
So I mean, I'm not sure, because I haven't gotten a chance to play against it. I have been asking in chat to play against it this morning, but I wasn't able to do it. I also get another Inquisitor in there too. So, and of course he's gemmed to do the -3 front end, which will also debuff a lot of the Gore Feast, Gorestorm type stuff. So there you go. So I'm not sure is my final answer. I hope it does well. I feel like it's got a pretty good game, and I also feel like the Ruby Wild from last week, from the last 3 tournaments that I played, had a pretty good game as well. So I would actually like to see people still run that one. And if you do run that one or this deck, please let me know, and let me know how you did. And tell me what you found to be true for you, or some changes that you may have made. So that's pretty much it. Okay, so moving on, we got the Killipede deck, and I'm going to let you guys in chat decide how we're going to go. So the only direction we have is it has to have Killipede in it. Now I'm going to try to get 4 Killipedes in this deck, because that's what the guy wanted. This is coming from Canada, and he will be getting a for coming up with this idea and being featured on Duckling with Squire. We will be getting him a draft pack. So congratulations to Canada. Make sure you guys are posting on the YouTube videos, or send me a message on Twitch, or send me a message on my Twitter or whatever. I'm trying to do better about posting all the deck ideas and stuff on my Facebook, so that way I have like a running thing, so that way you know what decks are up that we will be covering in future episodes. But right now we have Killipede, and we can either go, I see this one of two ways. We can either go Sapphire, but we've done a lot of control lately, so basically we can go Blood Sapphire control, or we can go into Wild and pick up maybe some ramp into the Killipede, and I don't know.
See, I kind of like that though. I was talking to you before the show a little about the
and we can give him
Wild
Crush.
Blood.
Yeah.
I was about to say, Crushipede is something that I've been fiddling with, and I want to see if I can get it to work. I think the important part of that is the Crush being a surprise.
Yeah, I'd say so, and we do get that with that deck. We do get the ability to run the Wild, the 2/2/2 gives a Crush, and
the other thing I like about that too is your removal options are great in that, because you're looking at your Crackling with the -2/2. You're looking at your ability to remove flyers. You have a couple you have wipes at your disposal. You have all the quality removal of blood. With,
Crackling Sprout.
Yeah. And your Crackling Sprout with the ability to go through and do trample. So.
Oh, that's right. Diamond Wild Banner Bunnies. Okay, MTG Gamer, I will put that on my list. I knew there was a third one. Okay, he's saying go Crushipede, so we're gonna go that. We're gonna do that. All right. So I think we definitely want to at least. We're just gonna kind of go through the cards right now, and just kind of throw things in there. This is typically the way I do things, which is I just kind of go through and look at stuff I want to have in the deck.
Go off the wall. We'll see what sticks.
Yeah, exactly, right. So let's start off with like 2 Inquisitor. We could do with Inquisitor, that's kind of cool in Wild, is we could actually give it plus power. We could do that with it. So every time you play it, it actually buffs something's power. So you could do that.
I like it.
That could be interesting.
Yeah, if you already have the Killipede out, you drop it on it. Now it gets a +3/+1.
Yeah, that would be sick. So I have to put Wrathwood in here just because it's so ridiculous. I'm really sorry about that to my viewers. I know it's expensive. Let's see, where's it at right now? It's showing itself at about $15. It's just one of those cards that it's kind of like a de facto standard, but we may not run it. Root Dancer maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to find that the Wrathwood Master Moss is just good because it's a good card, not because it works with the deck. Although, swinging in with a 5/5 Master Moss and giving it Crush is never a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure. Ambusher seems pretty decent. Especially, I think this guy's going to see more and more and more play. He's just so good. This is removal plus body for chump block, or if you have board state, you just start swinging away for 2. I mean, that's always a good thing, right?
Man, I'm getting the itch to run a Killipede deck tomorrow.
You want to run this Killipede deck we're going to put together real quick? Oh gosh, Turbulence is a must for the reserves if you're playing Wild, in my opinion. Even in Blood, like, we do have some pretty good removal, but 2-point removal that gets rid of angels and stuff. Maybe less of them because we're in Blood, but I still feel like it's a great card to have in your Wild, if you're in Wild, on your reserves.
Slide some Turbulence in here.
Yeah. Love Turbulence. Turbulence is really good. Cluckodon is another one you could replace your...
I love the Cluckodon. Let me not even lie. That card, I liked it so much. It's not... I'm not saying, like, mini games, but, man, it's a fun card.
Yeah, I mean, especially against... So one of the cool things, I guess, about Cluckodon that I just take for granted is that if you bounce it, that's 4 more life your opponent gets, which is going to happen a lot.
4 for 4. We can't stress that enough.
Yeah, I mean, you get 4 life when it comes into play, so it could put you out of range of that wonderful Gore Feast deck that everyone is so happy about. We've got the Spirit Oracle as a maybe as a 2 of or something. I don't know. We're still looking at just basically a bunch of things that pump our stuff at this point. We're just trying to pump up the jams with some of this deck. I'm going to go ahead and just preliminarily just throw 4 Shards of Fate. I'm not sure if we'll run that many in there. Shard of the Ancients is a must 4 of, though. Let's see, what else could we put in here? I want to actually build a Savage Lord deck. I just feel like there's just not enough dinosaurs out there. But maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe I should just run the vanilla dinosaurs and see what happens. I really like that guy, though. I'm not sure if we probably actually don't want to run Running Deer with this deck. We'll probably actually run the guy who gives your guy +2/+2. We'll probably run that. Relentless
Yes,
Corruption.
I mean, your goal is to get them to spend time focusing on keeping your Killipedes away from them.
Right. Exactly. We aren't probably going to run a lot of really expensive stuff that's cost more than 4. So running like Puck the Dreamer is not really a big thing for us.
Yeah, like Sight of the Sun, Puck, and things like that aren't necessarily good for you.
Paladin of Necropolis is maybe a thing, but I don't really see it. I mean, I guess because we're buffing things. I mean, it could be interesting. I mean, it does life gain. It costs 3. So that's kind of neat. The cat's here trying to bug me, trying to eat my hands while I'm doing this deck doctor. Oken Ceremony is probably a must because we are trying to get to Killipede here. Can you tell me how to get to Killipede? Skirmisher, maybe. I mean, we can give it Spell Shield, and then it's another one of those.
So, I like it if you end up going this direction of like board wipes. I like Oberons. If you don't use board wipes, I don't like Oberons. Like, there's not a lot of creatures in there, but I played with a deck I was fiddling with, and with board sweeps, Oberons is just a killer card, especially if you're running a medium amount of troops. It is still great. Like, just having 2 or 3 troops in your graveyard, and then having Oberon out and like dropping, let's say, Killipede, for instance. Your Killipede's coming out with a 2/2, 3/3 on it. The downside is it's a 5-cost card that doesn't immediately affect the board state.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this card, but we'll throw it in there preliminarily. Yeah, like you said, it just doesn't affect things immediately.
Right. Yeah, like it's not good against, let's say, like the Gorestorm, because
I feel like this is more for a ramp deck, which is not what we are.
Exactly. Oh, that's fine. You keep moving, but I'm a fan of Oberon overall. I hope it someday makes it into a good deck.
Do something.
I'm trying to find a way to make it top tier, but it doesn't. It's not an immediate effect. I think that'll kill it.
This could be funny because like it can't block, but you keep attacking with it, and then you have things that give it crush. If you can give it permanent crush, I mean that could be something. I mean that's kind of interesting to me. Sure. We've got to find other things. We can't just depend on. So the other thing is you can't ever. I highly suggest you never actually base an entire deck off of just one card, because if you do, you're putting yourself in a bad position where you may not, draw the card, or things just won't go your way a lot of times. Inquisition is probably more of a 4 of it for this deck than it was for my control deck. Isidore, probably not. Jadim, probably not. Savagery, probably not. We don't really need a lot of this other stuff. I wish Hawkwind. I think if Hawkwind cost 1 less, it would be much more constructed playable. It's pretty ridiculous though. I still like Gobbleglade Witch, maybe as a 1 of. This is one of the things that's nice about playing in Wild with what do you call it? With Blood, because Blood has a hard time dealing with the constants and what is it, artifacts, Actually, I didn't know Gortezuma, he's actually just a 1 threshold. Wow. So I like Gortezuma in here too. We'll probably play the sweeps with them. Maybe just like a 1 of Fist. No, we won't do that. We don't have any ramp. Uh-oh. Bad code. Bad code. Let's see, Eye Creation, maybe as a 1 of. Fang, probably not. Extinction, we'll go ahead and throw 4 of those in there for now. That's just like a catch-all, of course. Did I already put... We could also go a Darkspire route, which may be more Mobeta for us. Because Wild has a hard time drawing cards. It just does.
Yep.
Crashy Beast, another good one.
Yeah, I mean, Wild still, their focus is more on the ramp end and less on the card draw, so...
Crackling Rot, sure. Constantina, I've gained a lot more respect for Constantina lately. She is, she's...
So far, things I'm concerned about are, like, in this case we brought up earlier, it was the Gorestorm, having them pop a bunch of flyers on us.
Right.
Now, even though we have 2 different cards that are able to remove it, I mean, how much of those are we going to main deck in order, knowing that we're going to end up facing a Gorestorm or 2?
Right, exactly. Let's see, we should be seeing Chlorophylla here somewhere. Oh, that's the deck. We don't want it. The deck's got 100 cards in it, by the way, right now.
Hey, great.
We've got 20 minutes though. We're good. We're good on time.
Yeah, all right.
We're good on time. Okay, let's see. Where were we?
Right, so
another one that's Mentor is another one that maybe. I don't know. I started running him for a while and then I stopped. I mean, he chump blocks pretty well, and he's a decent attacker. Caterpillar, that's another annoying troop. Actually, you know what? Caterpillar might fit this better than a lot of the other stuff we're doing, because we're trying to get this crush damage over, and when it actually does become that giant butterfly,
yeah, you're right.
It makes it so your opponent can't block. Everything, all their troops become defensive, so they can basically play like the Gore Feast, like whatever it is, the Flame Elemental, and that's all they have. If you actually get damage through, and we're trying to play a lot of things with Crush, so maybe.
Yeah, you're also talking about a flight troop eventually, and it's a 5/4.
Right.
So I'm not saying run a lot of it, but I mean, 4 of is a possibility, but I think it sits out too much, and you don't want to block with it because you're looking to get it to fire off. So it's kind of like having a constant early on.
Probably put those on the reserves for now. Now with the reserves, what I've been doing is I'll do those after the show, so don't be too worried about that. We just want to get the main deck functioning right now. That's the main thing.
Right. And a lot of times when we're fiddling with cards, we'll pull stuff out and go, all right, well that has to be that's a side. That's a
reserves card, yeah. I kind of like this alternate image of Root Father, and lately I've only been running one anyway, so I only really need one. If anyone wants to trade one to me. Adaptable infusion device? Probably not. Probably not. Okay, so I think we got enough stuff to look at here. We got 113 cards. I need to actually get shards in here, so let's go ahead and add 20 shards. Let's see. Let's go ahead and just add 10 of those and 10 blood for now. Where are you, blood shards? There you are. Okay. Bam. All right. So here's the palette we have to work with. Oh yeah. The equipment in the dinosaur deck will definitely help out quite a bit. So I'm really kind of interested in this Inquisitor thing, because it's one of those cards that's difficult to deal with, and a lot of times people are debuffing it anyways. And so if we're buffing it, then I feel like we're getting a lot of value out of the Inquisitor. More so than what we had before, because there's a lot of debuffing and stuff going on. There hasn't actually been a lot of people playing Filcape lately, even though I still think it's really good and people should be playing it.
Right. Not very good in this deck, unfortunately, because we're looking at...
Well, it's horrible in this deck. Yeah, it's horrible for this deck, too.
Right. Yeah. Giant Caterpillar would be decimated.
Yeah, it would really be bad. Let's see. So we can make rhinos with it. Gets...
Hey, look at that. You're just under 130 cards now.
Yeah, just under... It's okay, everyone. It's okay. It's going to be fine. So I really think that would be cool.
Go ahead and add 17 cards now, and let's make this a giant cloth deck.
No. I think I really want to try this with like empowerment. Even though it's not going to give them a great back end, it's going to really help you punch damage through, and especially with the Killipede attacking that Swift Strike, I think that's a really crazy, neat combo to have in the deck. So I think we can definitely run the 4 Xentoths plus the Killipede and do that. That would be really cool. Even with like Vampire King, that's pretty neat, or Ambusher or something. There's a lot of different things we could do with that. We also have some things like where when you bounce them, it's kind of bad for your opponent, like the Cluckodon. So maybe we'll keep that type of stuff too. So I like the 1 wild growths because it's one of those things that your opponent never knows if you have it or not. The wild aura, back when I was playing wild really heavily, I found that 2 of these was about right on the wild aura. I don't know that I want to play that many more, although when you really have to test it out, because when we're throwing it on things like Inquisitor and stuff, I mean, maybe it's okay. We didn't really... We've got Kishimoto on here, but we could actually even play with the the one that gives us 0-1 battle hoppers. We could even play with that because we've got so many buffs in here. It's nice to have bodies to buff when you've got buffs, you know. Maybe we should have looked at some sort of token producer for this, but I don't know that we've got a good one.
Yeah, I mean the +2/+2 he has. I don't think going with the 0-1s. It's also the nice thing. You're looking at additional blockers against ground-based Gorefeast decks. So.
I don't even know if we need like Chlorophylla in here, honestly.
No, I was looking at that. Like you don't. The highest cost you have is a Borean Rootfather, and you're not looking only playing one enemy anyway. So if I have creation sticks around,
Yeah, probably not going to.
Yeah. And one of Borean Rootfather is not a big deal because with its 5 costs, shuffling it back in, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I think I really like the Wrathwood Master Moss in here, and I say that because I like all the things you can do to it with Wild Root Dancers and pumping it, and
it feels more like we're kind of splashing blood for the Killipede, which is fine because it's a single threshold. I feel like we're splashing blood more than anything else.
I'm kind of alright with that. I like Killipede as a serious lethal threat. And I like the option of having like Wrathwood Trample being a thing, or
Yeah, for sure. Well, plus like even when it comes back, so Master Moss when it comes back, if you throw a Wild Aura on it, it's the Mossling will be a 4/4 with Crush and possibly change back into Wrathwood because it crushes right over something, Right. So I mean, there is that possibility is definitely there, and especially when you've got like Root Dancer and other stuff to help out.
Caterpillar, the more you talk about Caterpillar, the more I think I'd like to try it. I have concerns for how long it'll take you to get it going, but it really can turn into a bomb. I just wonder if Gorefeast, or if the Flying Gorefeast issue will go off faster than I can get a Caterpillar up and moving.
So that's the thing, is it's got that 3 threshold, so we may end up wanting to, it depends, like if we run Extinction, we probably won't run, like here's the deal, like we have I think the choice here is, do we go Darkspire and Extinction or not? Like if we don't go Darkspire, then we probably won't go Extinction, and in which case we'll probably play like some of the dorks, some of the shard dorks, what are they called? What are they called? Shard. They're gonna be. One of them's gonna be right here. I just know it. It costs Howling Braves. I think we would play Howling Braves to ramp up and to do stuff. It also fixes our threshold for wild. It could help us play that. It could help us play a turn 3 Killipede, possibly. Very few situations is that going to happen, but it could happen. It could happen. Right. Can we turn up my guest mic a little bit? Yeah. I can turn that up.
You got it?
Actually, I'll just do it. That should help.
I'll do it.
Okay. That should help out a bit. Sorry.
Yep.
All right.
So, there we go.
Yeah, he's a little bit loud in my speakers, but my headphones. But that's fine. I'll live.
Okay.
I really kind of like buffing things and them just being hard to deal with, like Minion and Inquisitor. I think that's like a pretty cool thing to be able to do with this deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I dig the Minion part. I'm not sure how far into this Darkspire. I mean, I feel like Darkspire...
I think it's a different idea.
Direction. Right.
Yeah.
We have 2 different deck ideas, and we have to go one way or the other.
And Darkspire is still a really good deck. I mean, I've played against it, and it's definitely got some things. Especially the discard is a good thing, but I think that's just a different direction to go than what we're doing. So we're actually going to get rid of Extinction here.
If you don't have too many of those weird errors of adding and subtracting cards.
Well, I'm using the control click to do it faster instead of doing it one at a time.
Gotcha.
Crackling Sprout's really good, but I don't know that I want to play 4 of it. It's another one of those things that's a buff. I kind of want to just play more Wild Aura now at this point. Maybe play 3 of those. I think I'm comfortable playing 3 Wild Aura in this deck, getting rid of Wild Growth.
Man, the only downside this deck so far is that I don't have a bunch of these cards.
Oh, I think most of our viewers are like, join the club. Why did you do it again? Aaron Squire, why did you have to put Wrathwood Master Moss in this deck?
That's the thing. Like, I have Wrathwood Master Moss, so like I have one Monsoon. I've got.
Well, we can probably
Killipede.
pull him. So like he's another one that like he feels like you want to play him right after like an Extinction. We're not playing Extinction anymore, so I think we can safely get rid of Monsoon here.
Like Vampire King, I sold off mine because they were going for some money. But
Well, whose fault is that?
Yeah, well, you know, I only had 3 or 2 or 3. I don't remember. Yeah, Angels and Vampire Kings, man. I was like $20 a piece. Bye.
Let's see. I'm really not sure if we want Kishimoto or a different champion at this point, too. I'm also not sure if I want Mentor. I don't even think I want Mentor in here, really. Because,
Yeah, I'd
like,
probably pull it.
like, we've got so many good targets besides Killipede. This Killipede deck, don't get me wrong, but we've got some pretty cool targets for our Wild Aura with Xentoth Inquisitor and Minion. I love those two guys. Like, it's one of those things where I don't have to worry. It's like I throw it on them. Oh, you killed them. Well, because of the way Hex works, it goes to the graveyard and then it still targets them, I believe, and so I think it still buffs them. It's not like other card games. If I remember, if I'm thinking right. Otherwise, well, if it doesn't work that way, then you have to be a little bit more careful about when you play it. But still,
Well, even if you play Crackling Rot, if someone Crackling Rots your Xentoth Inquisitor and you play it, you can still give a creature the +1 or whatever it's going to get, +2, and it'll just die.
Yeah.
And
well, Crackling Rot, yeah, then it would just be +1. Yeah, it just becomes this +1 buff.
Yeah.
For a lot of resources, but still.
Right. But the point is that it can continue to keep going. So I also like if you have your Inquisitor out and you Wild Aura it, that's a 5/2 that you have to keep putting out. If they kill it, you put it back out. Oh look, something else gets a 5/2.
I pulled Skirmisher, but you could play Skirmisher in here because you can give him Spell Shield and then he becomes hard to deal with like a lot of the other stuff. So it depends on like how you feel that the format is. Like I think between Cluckodon and Wrathwood, like if you don't have the Wrathwood, probably play Cluckodon. I'm gonna move him to the reserves right now, but yeah, I mean he's not a bad card. It's just that Wrathwood Master Moss just gives you so much value whenever you play him, whenever you get a chance to play him, and you can play him on turn 3 fairly consistently. You should be able to in here. If I can get no whammies here, come on. Yeah, I'm getting lots of errors on Hex CCG browser for some reason right now, tonight. I'm not sure why. Come on, do it. Do it. Get rid of that Cluckodon. I'm going to refresh the page. And we got about 9 minutes left to close out this deck. I see Grum's in the channel. Yeah. Haven't seen Grum in quite a while. Grum, you going to play the tournament tomorrow? It's one of our old school Hex TCG Pro guys back in the day when Hex TCG Pro was alive. Oh, we must have gotten rid of it as I don't see it anymore. We may need more point and click removal with these murders, but we do have Ambusher. Ambusher's another body for us to target stuff with that we can. So I think what you can do with Ambusher is you can play it, and then while its ability is on the stack, you should be able to buff it and then kill something bigger. So if your Ambusher came into play and like say you put it underground, your Ambusher comes into play, you have 4 resources to spend, you Wild Aura it while its ability is on the stack or on the chain rather, it should be a -4/-4, I believe.
Okay.
So we'll see. Well, that's too bad, Grum. Vampire King is really good for our flyers. It helps us defend that flying space. We can play it really fast. We've got a lot of 4-drops right now. We've got 23 4-drops. We need to make choices. So I think
we get rid of Vampire King.
I think we have to get rid of Vampire King. Yeah, I think we have to get rid of Vampire King. He's at the double threshold, just like a lot of these other cards. He's really good. Ambusher kind of doesn't count as a 4-drop. He's more like a 2-drop that sometimes we play for 4. But you could still play Vampire King in your reserves or whatever, or if you feel like flying is going to be tougher for you. He's a little bit more removable than the other stuff too.
Right.
So we're doing pretty good. We're at 87 cards. We've got 28 shards in the deck, actually. So let's go ahead and reduce these a little bit to help me figure out how much more we need to cut here. Let's do a deck analysis to see where our how many icons we got. Like a ton, 40 blood and 44 wild icons in the deck. So so about even for what we need to remove here. I'm still looking at Wrathwood. Like I kind of want to remove it, but at the same time, I'm still looking at like, well, I can wild aura it and it sticks around and it's better. And
yeah, I mean, literally,
probably this paladin.
Root Dancer into like literally turn 3 Root Dancer, turn 4 Wrathwood.
Yeah. The Paladin seems pretty good, but I feel like that's another deck. It is pretty cool. Like I've seen mono blood decks that will use the guy to let you sack guys, and they'll play like all the Darkspire stuff, and then they'll buff him. I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty good tech right there. I like Gortezuma. I don't think we can pull him. I think 2 of him is perfectly fine. So probably we'd probably play him over Constantina. Maybe we could take her down to 1 and then move 1 into the reserves. The big thing is that she's got that double wild threshold, and so she'll be a little bit tougher to play sometimes. I'm trying to figure out why we're playing so much Crackling Rot and some other things. Do we still have Crackling Sprout in here? We still do, don't we?
Yep.
Or I thought we did. I'm not seeing it. Why am I not seeing it? Oh, there it is. It's on the left. They're right next to each other, and I didn't even see it. Ugh. I think I'm going to pull Root Father out of here just because it breaks the curve. I know we can cycle it, but it's going to be one of these cards where it's like, I just want to be a little bit more aggressive early on, and it's not going to do enough in the late game for us. And we're already buffing everything with the Inquisitor on the Inquisitor bounce. Should be buffing things. Cat's getting into the trash can over here now. We got 4 of those. I'm looking for where's that other 1-drop. I've got other 1-drops here apparently. Some blood 1-drops. Where are these blood 1-drops? It's the Yakuza. Okay. Caterpillar. I mean, I'm liking it so far. We're at 77 cards. We need to get rid of 17 cards. It looks like we need to get rid of some of our 4-drops. We could maybe I feel like cutting mostly in blood right now because like wild seems to be the core of this that's ramping us up into a lot of this cool blood stuff. So I think we'll just do that. That'll help. So we need to make a decision here. We've got Howling Brave, Minion, and we've got the Caterpillar, and I think that the one that's probably going to drop is going to be the Caterpillar. I like it. Maybe we can maybe take it down to 2. I like it, but it's removable very easily. In the late game, it's pretty bad. Yeah, I mean that's got to be the one we got to pull down there. I think we still need to get rid of 12 cards. So what's really not fitting here? What is not making sense here? I feel like we want that Inquisition. That can be such a boon to this deck. You know, you're definitely going to run them on the reserves.
Right.
Maybe the Crash Beast. Probably maybe Crash. Crash is good though. Turn 2 Crash Beast. I mean that's pretty good. They get bounced. They do have Crush. That's kind of like we're playing like this Crush deck is really what we're playing.
Yeah, like, and just to highlight some of the things I like so far, like Howling Brave, obviously great. Giant Caterpillar is a really neat idea to maybe have a little bit of resistance to Gorestorm. I like the Crush options. Constantina, I'm not real big on. Obviously, Killipede's great. Wild Root Dancer, I like. Crash of Beasts, I like. Murder and Crackling Rot are obvious ones. Do you still have a Gobbleglade Witch in there?
Yeah, just one.
One.
Yeah, she's kind of important because like
cards we at here?
We're at 72 cards right now.
Oof.
Anyone know where you can find a list of cards you can get from the starter trials? I think they were on the Hex website somewhere. We're kind of going aggro. I mean, I guess we could dump Inquisition, but I feel like it's still kind of a big card. Yeah, I suppose we can get rid of that. But it's the double blood. Yeah, I can see that. Sure, that makes sense to me. I don't think I want to get rid of Crash. I really want to just keep the Crash in there. I'm looking at Root Dancer a little bit here because he's like this vulnerable body you never want to block with. So he's kind of like a buff. I mean, he's kind of like the other Wild Aura that doesn't give anything crush. But it's cool because every time he does buff our stuff, a lot of them get to keep it, like Inquisitor, Master Moss, Minion, like and Gortezuma. Like a lot of these things are just hard to take down. We're just playing like a lot of hard kill stuff. So I think I'm starting to think Caterpillar just doesn't belong in here.
That's fine. Yep, drop her out.
You think it's a her?
We are being aggressive, and it's not aggressive. It's sit and wait.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's so hard sometimes. Pull cards out. Let's see. We need these murders. We need them. A lot of times when you're running aggro, you don't need a large suite of removal. So you only want a couple, but you want the quality removal. You still want it in there because there's that one thing that you just don't want blocking your dude so you can push damage, you know?
Right. Yeah, I think you're not bad at the removal numbers.
Maybe Crackling Rot.
I keep refreshing the site so I can
you can see what I'm doing. Maybe that's what's happening.
Right.
Man, it's so hard. 8 cards. We need to get rid of 8 cards here.
Yep. Alright, so let's see what we got.
Are we at 23 shards yet? I think we're at 24, so we can get rid of 1 shard. Okay, 7 cards.
Okay, alright, 7 cards.
Because that's 15.
One of Constantina and Gobbleglade Witch. Would either of those be more reserve worthy?
Yeah, we can probably pull Constantina. I just like having her in there. She's just a nice 3/3 body. She's just like another Crashabeast, you know?
Right.
I think it probably pulled her out, and then we just don't see it.
We could go to 3 Xentoths, maybe, or 3 Crash, or 2. Well, I hate to go to 2 Wild Aura.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Minion's really great early, although we have Minion and Howling Brave are just constantly keeping up that 1 cost card. So that keeps us fast.
Yeah, I mean, we could pull Killipede out. Like, he is good. He does block okay, but he's not going to trade on the... Well, he will kill something on the block. It's just that they could kill him. That's the only problem.
Right.
But a turn 3 Killipede's possible in this deck, so...
we had one rule for this. We had to have Killipede in it.
Yeah, so I think we have to go down on Inquisitor, unfortunately. That's kind of, like, sad.
Well,
sad.
Think of it this way, too.
It makes me a sad panda.
We have a lot of things that buff, though, so that's not bad. Like, our wild...
Yeah, we got the Minion.
Buffs, 2 Wild Aura, Crackling Sprout.
Maybe go down 1 Minion of Yazukan, because it doesn't block. But it's still really cool. Yeah, we got plenty of targets for our buffs. We may not actually need main deck Gobbleglade Witch. We may not, because it looks like we're just so fast, and we've got so much crush damage, we just don't care. We just don't care about, like, the biggest reason why this is in here is just to deal with Soul Marble, and I don't think we care, because we should be ahead of Soul Marble.
Right.
You know? And then if we get swept out, well, we have things like if they're under 10 health, Gortezuma stays in, Minion just comes back, and then Xentoth just comes back. So maybe we don't need Gobbleglade Witch in here. Maybe. Like, we aren't actually targeting a lot of stuff either. Like, our targets are our stuff. Maybe get rid of a Crackling Rot as well then. Crackling Rot's really good too, but
okay.
Let's see what happened there. Okay, so I got rid of Gobbleglade Witch. I got rid of 1. No, let's get rid of 1 Crackling Rot. Again, if you started the game with like 3 or all your Crackling Rot and all your murder, it's not really the hand you want. You want something a little bit more aggressive than that. I think I might even go down 1 on Crackling Sprout here as well, because it's another thing. It's a buff. The buffs we have, we want maybe to be permanent. So Root Dancer and Wild Aura do that a little bit better. This is more of a surprise card that's a little bit cheaper. I mean, I still like it because it gives us that charge, so it can help us get to like our turn. What is it? Turn 4. It can give us a turn 3 Kishimoto.
Right.
Possibly. to push damage. I'm thinking about pulling this Crackling Sprout right now.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about pulling the Crackling Sprout is that crush damage. It's so that's cheap. Like, we were so high on the idea of like surprise crush earlier for the Killipede. I don't think we have anything else that does that. It's the only quick action we've got that provides crush, right?
Yeah. Well, Wild Aura does, but it's a little bit more expensive. Wild Aura you can play at quick action speed, and it stays. So
correct. All right.
I mean, it's kind of like we're playing 4 Wild Aura. It's just one of them doesn't stay.
That's fine. Yeah.
So that's my only thing. Murder feels like a little bit better of a response to have. Let's see. I think we get rid of Crackling Rot here, maybe. It's either that or Crackling Sprout. I'm leaning towards Sprout, though.
That's fine. Pull Sprout. I mean,
I think that's
Wild Aura, so you'd hate to draw a bunch of the Wild Auras in the Sprout. And
yeah, that's the other thing. If you draw all buffs, like that's a mull hand as well. It's like, So our 2-point range shows only 2 cards, but remember that we have the Ambushers, which we can play there, so we really have 4. So that's the only other thing I'm looking at. That the curve is kind of not the best in this right now. It would definitely need some more finessing as far as curve. We like to see a better curve than this, but we should be okay because technically, even though we're running 23 shards, we've got 4 resource dorks with these Howling Braves, and so that should help us get there. Most of our blood cards are single threshold, except for Killipede and Inquisitor. So we shouldn't need as much blood in here. We should be able to play maybe... We want to play things pretty quickly, so I'm thinking like 1 Shards of Fate and then 4 Shards of the Ancients. And then I need to do the deck analysis. We've got 31 wild and 25, so that's like a 3-4, kind of like 3 for every 3 wild we'll have like, or every 3 blood, maybe 4 wild, something like that kind of ratio. So yeah, we actually need to have more wild in here. We already talked about this, and that's why we had a wild champion. Now you could also play Xerath in here. I wouldn't fault you for playing Xerath. I just try to like stay away from the ones that everyone's like the easy ones, you know, that everyone's like, oh well, obviously you play Xerath in here. Xerath would definitely be another one you could play in here, but Kishimoto feels more thematic for what we're trying to do. So probably a 9. Do I want a 9-8 or do I want a 9-9 split? No. We do have the double thresholds we really want to get to, so I think I will go a 9-9 here. So 9 blood, 9 wild, the Shards of Fate, the Shards of the Ancients. And this is so we can, hopefully, like, we can turn 3 Killipede, we can turn 3 Xentoth. Hopefully Xentoth has, like, a target. That's the other, I guess that's another good reason they're only run 3 Xentoth, is because we are running the buff on it instead of like typical things. Like you could go back and run the -3, -0. I wouldn't fault you for that either. It's not a bad way to go, but like to do what we're trying to do, we're trying to push that damage and get that crush damage through. You know, having that Xentoth Inquisitor buff like a Crash Abyss or your Killipede or you know something like that, or even Ambusher, even making Ambusher into this 5/2 Ambusher for 1 turn would be pretty funny to see happen. So
right.
So there we go. So I think that's going to be the deck for us tonight. We ran over a little bit, but that's fine. We started late. So
yeah, actually, the deck doesn't look too bad. I think
it's not horrible.
Like it could be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's top tier, but it certainly looks like it could have some surprise wins.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you only have to get the Killipede through twice, and you've got lots of crush type things to do it. And then if they do deal with it, they spend a lot of time on it, then they'll have a harder time dealing with your Minion or your Gortezuma or Xentoth Inquisitor or Wrathwood. So you just have a lot of kill. You must kill these targets type of things.
Right, and you got a lot of things like if they start killing things and board sweeping you. I mean, with Xentoth, Wrathwood, and Minion, you're getting a lot of stuff back. So
yeah. So tonight on Deck Building with the Squire, we went over the news. PvE is back, so make sure you're playing some of that. If you're not playing in the tournament tomorrow, in the 5 Shards tournament, first ask yourself why. Then it's probably because of your significant other. Then go over to the PvE deck or to the PvE server and play that tournament instead, and help them out with their stuff over there. We also went over the tournaments. Of course, we've got the 5 Shards tournament tomorrow, and then in 2 weeks, on the 28th, there is the Hextech tournament that's going on. Finally, we got the sportsmanship. We talked about that, being pro, making sure it is that you're being on the up and up. We're being good people. We're being a good community. We're not rubbing it in people's faces when we win. We're trying to be understanding. And then finally, we did this deck doctor where we built this wonderful, awesome Killipede deck, so that way you could stomp all over people. So let's go with that. Let's go with what?
Let's go with the deck being wonderful.
Well, hey, they're all wonderful decks. We don't build any crappy decks. They're all wonderful decks for a specific purpose, not necessarily a purpose of being competitive all the time. So yeah, until next time, this is Aaron Squire signing off, saying God bless you and your family. He's trying to rage too much out there, and Goldensaucerguy hanging out with me. You need to get a sign off. We need to get you a sign off.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're on the show 3 times, you owe us a sign off.
Right. All right.
Okay.
So the next time I'm on, I will get a sign off.
You need a sign off.
They might be seeing a little more of me coming up in the next month or so anyway. So we'll see.
All right. Make sure to stick around after the show for the giveaway.